What if everything you believe about space, time, and separation is a lie? What if the rules you've been taught since childhood are nothing more than fragile illusions, crumbling the moment you look deeper? Right now, you are standing on the edge of a truth that most people will never hear. And if you turn away, you may never unlock the door to the reality that has been waiting for you. At the core of quantum physics lies a principle so unsettling that it breaks the spine of classical science: entanglement. When two particles connect, they remain linked no matter how far apart. Change one, and the other responds instantly. Not fast, instantly, even if they are separated by light years. Distance becomes irrelevant. Time collapses. Separation dissolves. Now pause. Feel the weight of that. Because this isn't just about particles. This is about you. About your consciousness. About your identity. The quantum field does not recognize the wall between mind and matter. It does not care about your effort or your wishes. It responds only to the frequency of who you are being. And here is the threat that most ignore. If you live fragmented, if your thoughts say one thing, your emotions another, and your body something else, the field rejects your signal. Your future self cannot reach you. The reality you long for remains locked away, collapsing into someone else's timeline. But if coherence rises within you, everything shifts. When thought, emotion, and body align into one signal, the field bends. Probability collapses. A new reality emerges. The question is not how to chase your dream. The question is, will you dare to tune into the version of you who is already living it? Because if you delay, the door may close, and the chance to step into that future may vanish forever. Now, let me ask you, have you ever wondered why, no matter how hard you try, nothing truly changes? You push, you struggle, you fight, and yet the same walls surround you. The same loop repeats itself. Days blur into months, months into years, and still you remain in the same place. Does that sound familiar? What if the reason is not failure? What if the reason is not luck? What if the reason is that you have been tuned to the wrong frequency? Imagine turning a radio dial. You want to hear your favorite song, but no matter how you twist, you remain stuck in static. That is what happens when your inner state is misaligned. You can dream, you can work, but without coherence, the signal never locks in. Science has already shown this. Quantum entanglement proves that change in one particle is instantly mirrored in the other. And modern neuroscience confirms the same principle within you. Your brain, your heart, your nervous system form a living antenna. They broadcast your inner state. When your thoughts and feelings contradict each other, the signal is noise. But when they merge into harmony, the field listens. The field responds, "This is not fantasy. This is measurable." The HeartMath Institute discovered that your heart emits an electromagnetic field 60 times stronger than the brain. It carries emotional information that not only changes your own body, but influences the people around you. Imagine what happens when that power is aligned with clarity instead of chaos. Imagine what happens when the signal is pure. Let me tell you a story. A man in Silicon Valley, a visionary entrepreneur, lost everything. Bankruptcy after bankruptcy. His dream crumbled again and again. People said he was finished. But instead of giving up, he turned inward. He studied coherence. He practiced visualization, not as a fantasy, but as a state of being. He trained his heart and mind to pulse as one signal. Within a few years, he rebuilt his company from the ashes, not just surviving but thriving. Today, he runs a multi-million-dollar empire built on the alignment of inner state and outer action. So ask yourself, how many opportunities have you already lost because you hesitated? How many times has your future self reached for you, only for the signal to collapse back into static? The window is never open forever. Delay long enough, and another version of you takes that path, leaving you behind in regret. Right now, you are standing in that window. Right now, you are being asked to decide. Will you keep living in fragments, or will you claim coherence? Will you keep chasing illusions, or will you align with the version of yourself who already exists, who already thrives, who already breathes freedom? The danger of ignoring this is real, because life does not wait. The universe does not pause. The field is collapsing right now, choosing which version of you becomes reality. And if you do not step forward, the collapse will favor your old patterns, your old fears, your old prison dots. So here is the invitation. If you have ever felt trapped, if you have ever felt like no matter how hard you try, the same story repeats, then stop right now, breathe, and claim your alignment. Type the words, "I am ready," in the comments. Not tomorrow, not later, now, because action taken in this moment sends a signal to your subconscious. It tells the field that you are no longer asleep, that you are no longer waiting, that you are no longer lost in static. Will you do it? Will you declare your readiness? Or will you slip back into the loop that has held you for years? The choice is here. The choice is now. The field is listening. And the question that matters most is this: if every version of your future already exists, how do you reach the one that belongs to you? You do not need to create from nothing. You only need to connect with the version of yourself that already exists. Let that sink in. Because if this is true, then the struggle you have carried for years has been unnecessary. The pushing, the forcing, the endless waiting. What if the reality you want has been alive the entire time, waiting for you to tune in? Ask yourself, why should you fight to build what is already present? Why should you crawl through the mud of doubt when the door has been open all along? The only real question is, will you step through it? Or will you keep circling in the same loop, mistaking effort for alignment? Science confirms this. Dr. Joe Dispenza has shown through research that the mind is not confined to the brain. It extends outward, shaping and being shaped by the field around you. Your thoughts broadcast frequencies. Your emotions color those frequencies. Your body anchors them into signal. Together, they determine which version of reality collapses for you. And the HeartMath Institute has revealed something astonishing. The heart is not just a pump. It is an engine of energy. It generates a magnetic field 60 times stronger than the brain. That field can be measured several feet beyond your body. And it carries information, emotional information. That means when you feel gratitude, love, or clarity, the very space around you is transformed. The field bends to your coherence. This is not theory. This is measured fact. And yet, most people ignore it. They hope for change while living fragmented. They think one thing, feel another, and act from fear. The result? The field reads noise, static, confusion. The future self cannot find you. The signal never locks in, but here is the turning point. Coherence is the key. When your heart and mind pulse together, when your emotions and thoughts align, when your body relaxes into trust, the broadcast becomes pure. The field listens. Probability shifts. A new reality collapses. Not someday. Now, can you imagine what this means? That version of you who is free, healed, abundant, already breathing somewhere in the quantum field, is not a fantasy. It is a living pattern. And every time you align, you become magnetic to that pattern. You begin to merge with it. You begin to live it. There is a story that proves this. A veteran in California carried the weight of war, nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety that never loosened its grip. He tried medication, therapy, and distraction, but nothing lasted. Then he discovered coherence. Through breath, heart focus, and aligned intention, He learned to calm his nervous system. He practiced daily, shifting his internal state. Slowly, the nightmares faded. The panic released. His relationships healed. He was no longer haunted by the past, but pulled by a new version of himself. A version he could finally live in. This is not magic. It is coherence. The alignment of inner frequencies that rewires the body, rewrites the brain, and reshapes the field. So let me ask you, how long will you keep chasing from the outside what can only be claimed from within? How long will you allow static to drown out the signal of your true self? The future is not waiting endlessly. The wave function is collapsing now, and if you do not align, it will collapse into the old patterns once again. Right here, in this moment, you can choose. You can whisper to your subconscious a new command. You can tell the field, I am connected. I am aligned. I am ready. Type the words I connect in the comments. Not as decoration, not as entertainment, as a declaration, as a signal, as the first act of coherence. When you type it, you are not just writing. You are shifting. You are proving to yourself and the field that you are no longer fragmented. You are aligned. Will you claim that power? Or will you continue waiting for the perfect time, the perfect sign, the perfect permission? The truth is, the perfect time does not exist. There is only now. There is only this breath. There is only the frequency you choose to broadcast in this exact moment. And if you do not choose, the choice is made for you. The field defaults to your old identity, your old fears, your old loop. That is the danger of inaction. So I ask again, why stay trapped when the key is already in your hand? Why starve when the feast is already set before you? Why live disconnected when coherence is one breath away? You do not need to create from nothing. You only need to connect with a version of yourself that already exists. And here is the question that will lead us forward. If this power is real, if coherence can reshape reality, then why do so many remain stuck in the same old patterns, repeating the same old stories, even after hearing this truth? Because 95% of your life is controlled by the subconscious, by memories, fears, and wounds that have never been healed. Let that sink in. Almost everything you do, almost every choice you make, is not coming from your conscious will. It is being played out by programs written long ago. Programs you did not choose. Programs you did not agree to. Programs that still hold you like invisible chains. Have you ever wondered why freedom feels dangerous? Why, when you dream of change, a quiet voice inside whispers, "Stop"? That voice is not truth. That voice is the subconscious, guarding old wounds, protecting pain, mistaking survival for safety. You want love, but your subconscious remembers betrayal. You want abundance, but your subconscious remembers scarcity. You want freedom, but your subconscious fears the unknown. And so the cycle repeats, again and again, until you dare to face it. Carl Jung said it clearly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That is the trap. That is why so many live the same story, year after year, believing destiny is against them. When in truth, it is not destiny. It is programming. But here is the secret. Programming can be rewritten. Stories can be changed. The subconscious can be awakened. The question is, will you? Let me tell you a story. In New York, a woman was left behind in her marriage. She felt abandoned, broken, unworthy. The subconscious wrote her story. You are not enough. For years, she lived under that script. But one day, she decided to pick up the pen. She began to write again, not just on paper, but in her life. She told a new story of strength, of healing, of power. And that story became real. Today, she is not just healed. She is a best-selling author, sharing her journey with the world. Because she chose to make the unconscious conscious. Now, imagine yourself in her place. How many years have you allowed old wounds to write your story? How many moments of love, success, joy have slipped past you because your subconscious whispered danger? How long will you let ghosts of the past dictate the life you live today? There is urgency here. Every day you delay, the script deepens. The neurons fire the same pathways. The identity locks tighter, and the field responds not to your hopes, but to the fragmented signal you broadcast. You think you want freedom, but the signal says fear. You think you want love, but the signal says betrayal. You think you want abundance, but the signal says scarcity. The field never lies. It only mirrors. So how do you break free? You awaken. You begin to see the script for what it is. You stop calling it fate and start calling it programming. And when you name it, you weaken it. When you face it, you rewrite it. Ask yourself, are you willing to keep repeating the same old story? Or are you ready to write a new one? Are you willing to surrender your power to invisible memories? Or will you take it back, here and now? This is your chance. This is your turning point. But you must act. Type the words, I awaken, in the comments. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. With those words, you send a signal to your subconscious, to the field, to your future self. A signal that the story is changing. A signal that the loop is ending. The woman in New York wrote her way into freedom. What about you? What story will you write? The field is listening. Your subconscious is listening. Your future self is waiting. And here's the question that will guide us forward. How do you release the limiting beliefs that have imprisoned you for so long and step fully into the freedom that has always been yours? You do not need to erase old beliefs. You only need to reshape them into signals of empowerment. Think about that for a moment. How many years have you spent trying to fight your own mind? How many times have you tried to silence the thought, I am not enough? And yet, the harder you fight it, the louder it grows. What if the answer is not to destroy it, but to transform it? What if the same belief that once chained you could become the very force that sets you free? Take the belief, I am not good enough. A sentence that has haunted millions. A sentence that has stolen dreams, broken confidence, and silenced voices. But what if you turned it? What if you shifted it into, I am worthy as I am? Suddenly, the same energy that once drained you begins to fuel you. The signal changes. The field responds. The story bends. Science proves this is possible. Neuroscience has revealed the astonishing truth of neuroplasticity. Your brain is not fixed. It rewires. It reshapes. Every new thought builds new pathways. Every new belief fires neurons into fresh connections. And when those connections repeat, they become reality. Your brain does not ask if the belief is true. It only asks, which signal do you choose to reinforce? So ask yourself, how many years have you reinforced the wrong signal? How many times have you repeated, I am not ready, I am not worthy, I am not enough? And what would happen if, starting today, you fired a new pattern? If every day you whispered, I am worthy, until the neurons lit up and locked in? There is proof in human lives. In Texas, a young student of Mexican descent carried a weight his whole life. He believed he was not smart enough, not capable enough, not deserving of the future he dreamed of. Every test, every classroom, the belief whispered in his ear. And for a time, he believed it, until he discovered the power of reshaping. He stopped fighting the thought. He began to write a new one. I am worthy. I am capable. I belong. Slowly, the mind obeyed. The neurons rewired. The energy shifted. And the result? He earned a scholarship to an Ivy League university, a door he once thought forever closed, not because the world changed, but because his belief changed. Now the question is, what about you? What hidden beliefs are still running your story? What phrases have you carried from childhood, from failure, from rejection, that whisper in the dark, holding you back? And how long will you let them control the script of your life? There is urgency here. Every belief broadcasts a signal. Every signal shapes the field. If you repeat disempowering beliefs, the field bends against you. Opportunities slip. Doors remain closed. The future self cannot reach you. But if you shift the belief, the signal changes instantly. New doors appear. New opportunities align. A new reality collapses into place. So why keep waiting? Why keep repeating the old program when you can choose the new one now? The brain does not need decades to rewire. It needs repetition. It needs coherence. It needs your decision. Say it now. Say it with conviction. I am worthy. I am ready. I am enough. When you declare it, you do more than speak. You reshape pathways. You shift signals. You bend probability. Type the words, I am worthy, in the comments. Not as empty affirmation, as activation, as the first step in rewiring the deepest circuits of your mind. When you type it, you are not just writing. You are programming. You are choosing. You are reshaping the belief that has held you for far too long. Remember, beliefs are not facts. They are signals. They are programs. And every program can be rewritten. The only question is, will you keep broadcasting the frequency of doubt, or will you claim the frequency of worthiness? The student in Texas proved it. Science confirms it. The field awaits it. And so I leave you with this. When you shift a belief, when you reshape the signal that has guided your life, what will be the first thing to change? Will it be the way you see yourself? The way others respond to you? The opportunities that suddenly appear? Because once the belief changes, everything else follows. And the only thing left to ask is this: when you change your belief, what will change first in your life? The first thing that changes is identity, and identity is the signal you send into the universe. Pause and think about that, because identity is not just who you think you are. It is the code your life listens to. It is the hidden script shaping your choices, your habits, your actions, your destiny. Have you ever noticed how your behavior repeats, even when you swear it will not? You promise yourself to start fresh, to break the pattern, to rise above. But within days, sometimes hours, you find yourself right back where you started. Why? Because behavior does not follow willpower. It follows identity. If your identity is victim, you will act like a victim. If your identity is failure, you will unconsciously repeat failure. But when your identity shifts, everything shifts. Because identity is the broadcast, and the field only mirrors what you broadcast. So let me ask you, what story have you been telling yourself? What title have you been carrying? Are you the one who always loses? The one who is never enough? The one who cannot change? Or are you ready to choose a new identity, one that pulls you into the reality you deserve? Neuroscience has proven this. Identity is wired into the brain through repeated patterns. When you say I am and follow it with a word, you light up neural pathways. And the more you repeat it, the stronger those pathways become, until eventually they dictate your actions automatically. Identity locks into behavior. Behavior locks into destiny. That is the chain, but the chain can be broken, because neuroplasticity means the brain rewires. Every time you repeat a new identity, every time you declare, I am new, you are literally firing fresh circuits, carving new pathways, building a new future. And this is not just theory. Let me tell you a story. An athlete in America suffered a devastating injury. His body shattered. Doctors told him his career was over. And for a time, he believed it. He wore the identity of victim. Every day he whispered, "Why me?" Every day he broadcasted defeat. And life mirrored it. Until he made a choice. He stopped calling himself victim. He started calling himself survivor. Then warrior. Then comeback. He shifted his identity, and the signal changed. He trained. He healed. He fought. And against every prediction, he stepped back into competition. Not because his body was different, but because his identity was dot. So what about you? How long will you keep repeating an old identity that no longer serves you? How many more years will you spend calling yourself not enough, unworthy, broken? How many dreams will you sacrifice to the story of who you used to be? There is urgency here, because every moment you cling to the old identity, you reinforce it. The neurons fire, the circuits strengthen, the signal broadcasts louder, and the field obeys. But the instant you shift, the instant you declare, "I am new," the pattern breaks. The signal rewires. The field responds dot. So let me ask again. Who are you? Not in the past, not in your pain, but right now, in this moment. Who do you choose to be? Because the universe is not listening to your wishes. It is listening to your identity. Say it. Declare it. Claim it. I am new. When you say it, you do not just speak. You activate. You send a fresh signal into the field, a frequency your future self can recognize and align with. Type the words, "I am new," in the comments. Not as decoration, as declaration, as the beginning of a new broadcast. When you do, you anchor this identity into your nervous system. You tell your brain, your heart, your field, "This is who I am now." The athlete proved it. Science confirms it. The question is, will you live it? Because identity is the first thing to change. And when identity changes, destiny changes. And so we arrive at the next question. If identity is the signal, then how do you send that signal in the clearest, most powerful way? By living in coherence, when thought, emotion, and action become one unified frequency. Let that truth land. Because coherence is not a vague idea. It is the hidden code that decides whether your life flows or fractures. When you are fragmented, your signal is noise. The field cannot hear you. Your future cannot find you. But when you are coherent, everything changes. The signal is pure. The field responds. Reality bends. Ask yourself, how many times have you thought one thing, felt another, and acted in the opposite direction? You dream of success, yet you feel fear, and then you act with hesitation. You want love, yet you think of rejection. You feel unworthy, and you push people away. That is incoherence. That is static. That is why your signal never locks in. But when thought, emotion, and action align, when your mind says yes, your heart feels yes, and your body acts yes, the frequency is undeniable. It is like tuning into a clear radio station after years of static. Suddenly, the message is sharp. The energy flows. The universe mirrors it back. Science proves this. The HeartMath Institute has discovered that the heart generates an electromagnetic field 60 times stronger than the brain. 60 times. And that field does not just stay inside you. It radiates outward, touching others, shaping reality. When your heart and brain are aligned, your signal is amplified. The field bends to coherence. Now imagine what this means. Every incoherent thought weakens you. Every coherent signal strengthens you. And in coherence, you stop chasing reality. Reality begins to chase you. Let me tell you a story. During the financial collapse of 2008, a technology CEO in America faced ruin. Investors panicked. Employees feared collapse. Stress was suffocating him. He was ready to give up. But then he discovered coherence. Through breath, focus, and alignment, he learned to bring his mind and heart into rhythm. Slowly, the chaos within him calmed. His clarity returned. He led not with fear, but with alignment. And against the tide, he guided his company not just to survive, but to grow. Today, that company thrives, a living testament to the power of coherence. So what about you? How much longer will you allow incoherence to sabotage your life? How many dreams will you lose because fear, doubt, and hesitation break your signal? How long will you let static drown out your frequency? There is urgency here, because incoherence is not neutral. It is destructive. It wastes energy. It fractures focus. It collapses possibility. And every day you remain incoherent, the field responds with confusion. Opportunities slip through your fingers. Relationships break. Momentum stalls. But coherence is always one breath away, one choice away, one alignment away. The moment you choose to align your thought, your feeling, and your action, the shift begins. The signal sharpens. The universe listens. And the door opens. Say it with me. I am coherent. I am clear. I am aligned. When you speak it, you are not just affirming. You are tuning. You are bringing your mind, heart, and body into one frequency. And the field responds instantly. Type the words, I am coherent, in the comments. Not as empty decoration, as activation, as proof to yourself that you are choosing clarity over static, that you are choosing coherence over chaos. Because here is the truth. Without coherence, nothing sticks. Every effort dissolves. Every dream fades. But with coherence, momentum builds. The field locks onto your signal. Probability collapses in your favor. And reality shifts in ways you cannot yet imagine. So let me ask you again. Will you keep living fragmented, broken by fear and hesitation? Or will you choose coherence, the signal that reshapes everything? The CEO chose it and transformed his company. HeartMath measured it and proved its power. And now the choice is yours, because coherence is the frequency of creation. And the next question is this. How do you overcome the fear and the procrastination that keep breaking your coherence and finally live in the signal of pure alignment? Fear does not disappear when you wait. It only disappears when you move. Let that truth hit you. Because how many times have you waited for fear to fade? How many opportunities have you delayed, hoping that one day the fear would simply vanish? And yet, it never does. Fear does not dissolve in waiting. Fear dissolves in walking, in stepping forward. In action. Have you noticed how procrastination always disguises itself? You call it laziness. You call it lack of motivation. But the truth is deeper. Procrastination is not about laziness. It is about survival. Your body is trapped in survival mode. Your nervous system, wired for protection, misreads change as danger. Science proves this. The parasympathetic nervous system, connected through the vagus nerve, is designed to bring balance, calm, and restoration. But when fear dominates, your system locks into fight, flight, or freeze. In that state, the body believes delay is safety. Procrastination is not failure. It is biology. It is your nervous system protecting you from a threat that no longer exists. But here is the turning point. The nervous system can be rewired. Breath, movement, and small actions signal safety back into the body. Every calm breath down regulates fear. Every small step builds trust. And the moment your nervous system believes you are safe, procrastination dissolves. Action flows. Let me tell you a story. In Detroit, a young man of African descent lived paralyzed by fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping out of the shadows. Every dream he carried turned into delay. Every plan dissolved into excuses. Until one day, he decided to act differently. He began with breath. Simple, intentional breathing. He calmed his nervous system. Then he added small steps. One phone call, one message, one action each day. Fear did not vanish overnight, but step by step, he rewired his biology. He built trust with himself, and over time, he launched his own business. Today, he is not just surviving, he is thriving. All because he stopped waiting for fear to leave and chose to move anyway. So, what about you? How many years will you let fear dictate your pace? How many dreams will you sacrifice to the illusion of waiting? How long will you sit in the cage, holding the key, refusing to turn it? There is urgency here, because every time you delay, the nervous system learns to delay again. Every pause becomes a program. Every hesitation becomes identity. And the longer you wait, the stronger the chain grows. But freedom is closer than you think. Fear cannot follow you when you walk, because movement rewrites the signal. Action collapses hesitation. Every breath you take in calm, every small step you make in courage, tells your body, I am safe, I am ready, I am moving. So let me ask you directly. What would happen if today you took one small action? Not a leap, not a massive risk, just one step, one call, one word, one breath. Do you realize the signal that would send? Do you see how quickly the field would respond? Say it with me. I move, I act, I step forward. These words are not decoration. They are direction. They are signals to your nervous system, telling it the time of paralysis is over. Type the words, I move, in the comments. Not tomorrow, now, because typing them is itself an action. It is a signal. It is proof to your body that you are no longer frozen. You are no longer waiting. You are stepping. The young man in Detroit proved it. Science confirms it. The field responds to it. The only question is, will you choose to move? Because fear does not vanish in waiting. It vanishes in walking. And the moment you walk, the field shifts with you. So I leave you with this. If fear dissolves only in action, then what is the smallest step you can take right now to connect with the version of yourself who is already living the future you desire? The smallest action is to embody the future version of yourself in this very moment. Let that truth settle, because this is the secret most people miss. You are not waiting to become. You are not chasing. You are not building from scratch. You are embodying now. The frequency of your future self is already alive. And the question is simple. Will you wear it now? Or will you keep postponing the life that belongs to you? Ask yourself, how would your future self think right now? How would they feel? How would they walk, breathe, and act in this exact moment? Because the brain does not know the difference between memory and vivid imagination. Neuroscience proves it. Every time you rehearse a thought, every time you visualize with emotion, your brain wires as if it is real. This is not theory. Brain scans have shown that when athletes visualize their sport with clarity, the same regions of the brain fire as if they are actually performing. The nervous system cannot tell the difference. And this means that every time you imagine your future self with intensity, you are literally training your brain and body to become that version. So why wait? Why keep living as the old self when you can wear the new identity today? Every time you embody, the neurons shift. The chemistry changes. The field adjusts. Reality begins to mirror who you are being, not what you are wishing. Let me tell you a story. In Florida, a cancer patient was given little hope. The diagnosis was grim. The fear was overwhelming. But instead of surrendering, she chose to embody her future self. Every day, she closed her eyes and visualized her body whole, strong, vibrant. She felt it in her bones. She saw it in her cells. She rehearsed health until it became her inner reality. And something extraordinary happened. Her doctors, skeptical at first, began to notice change. The scans showed improvement. The body responded to the signal she was broadcasting. Today, her story is told as a living example of the power of embodiment. So what about you? How many times have you delayed becoming who you already are? How often have you said, "One day I will," instead of declaring, "I am now"? How long will you postpone a reality that is only one embodiment away? There is urgency here, because every time you postpone, you reinforce the old self. The neurons lock deeper into the past. The body memorizes yesterday's identity. The field receives the signal of hesitation, and the future remains out of reach. But the instant you embody, the field shifts. The neurons fire in a new pattern. The body learns a new chemistry, and your reality begins to collapse into the version you have chosen. Say it now. I already am. Not I will be. Not someday. Now. Because every time you speak it, you anchor the signal. You train your nervous system to believe. You collapse probability into form. Type the words "I already am" in the comments. Not as hope, as embodiment. As proof that you are living the new frequency in this moment. Because here is the truth. Embodiment is not pretending. It is becoming. It is aligning thought, feeling, and action with the frequency of your future self. And when you live it now, the field has no choice but to mirror it back. So let me ask again. If your brain cannot tell the difference between memory and imagination, then why not choose the imagination that serves you? Why not rehearse the future until it becomes your present? Why not embody the self who already holds the life you desire? The woman in Florida proved it. Science confirms it. The field responds to it. And now, it is your turn. Because the smallest action is embodiment. And embodiment shifts everything. And so the question becomes this. Once you begin to embody your future self, how will you know you are moving in the right direction? The sign is inner stillness, when you no longer need to prove, but simply exist. Let that truth echo inside you. Because transformation is not always loud. It is not always fireworks or applause. Sometimes the greatest shift is silence. A silence so deep it becomes power. A silence that whispers, "You are enough." Ask yourself, how often have you tried to prove your worth to the world? How many times have you fought for validation, applause, recognition? And yet, even when you received it, the emptiness remained. Why? Because true change does not come from proving. It comes from presence. From the art of being, presence is not passive. It is the most radical act of power. It is the state where you no longer chase. You no longer defend. You no longer explain. You simply radiate. And in that radiance, the world cannot help but respond. Science confirms this. In deep states of meditation, the brain shifts into theta and delta waves. These are the frequencies of profound stillness. Theta connects to imagination, intuition, and healing. Delta connects to rest, repair, and integration. When your brain slows into these rhythms, the body enters coherence. Creativity awakens. Healing unfolds. And you experience the art of presence. This is not abstract. It is measurable. In labs, meditators show reduced stress, heightened creativity, and increased emotional regulation. In presence, the nervous system resets. The mind calms. The body restores. But here is the mystery. Presence is not something you chase. The more you try to grab it, the further it slips. Presence comes when you release the need to prove, when you surrender the fight to be seen. And suddenly, you realize you have always been enough. Let me tell you a story. In Los Angeles, an artist spiraled into depression. Once celebrated, he now felt empty, blocked, invisible. His creativity vanished. He chased success, but the more he reached, the further it slipped. Until one day, he discovered meditation. At first, silence felt unbearable. His mind screamed, his body resisted. But with practice, he began to touch presence. Not proving, not fighting, just being. And something extraordinary happened. The stillness unlocked his creativity. Ideas flowed again. Colors returned. He painted with power he had never known. Not from desperation, but from presence. So what about you? How many years have you wasted proving yourself? How much energy have you poured into convincing the world you are enough? And how long will you keep chasing validation that can never satisfy? There is urgency here, because every time you chase, you reinforce the belief you are lacking. Every time you prove, you strengthen the signal of scarcity, and the world mirrors it back. But when you enter presence, the signal shifts. Stillness speaks louder than effort. Silence radiates more power than words. And suddenly, the world reflects your wholeness. Say it now. I am present. I am enough. I am here. When you speak these words, you stop fighting. You stop chasing. You stop proving. You return to the art of being. Type the words, I am present, in the comments. Not as decoration, as activation, as proof to yourself that you no longer need the noise, the struggle, the endless proving. You are present, and presence is power, because here is the paradox. When you stop proving, you become undeniable. When you stop chasing, you attract. When you stop explaining, you embody. Presence is the magnet. Presence is the signal. Presence is the proof. So let me ask you, what will shift in your life when you stop needing the world to validate you? What will transform in your relationships, your work, your dreams, when you simply stand still and radiate your truth? The artist in Los Angeles proved it. Science confirms it. The field responds to it. And now the choice is yours, because the sign is stillness. And stillness is the beginning of true transformation. And so the question becomes this. When you live authentically, when you embody presence without needing to prove, what will change first in your relationship with the world? The world begins to respond to your unique frequency, and opportunities start to find you. Pause and feel that. Because this is not about pretending. This is not about forcing. This is about authenticity. When you broadcast the frequency of who you truly are, the field responds. Not to your past, not to your fears, but to the pattern you choose to embody now. Have you ever noticed how life seems to resist when you fake it? When you try to wear masks, when you chase someone else's path, the world feels heavy. Doors stay shut. Energy drains. Why? Because the field is not fooled. The quantum field responds only to authenticity. In quantum physics, this truth has a name. The observer effect. Experiments prove that particles behave differently when observed. Reality bends according to focus. And in the same way, your life bends according to the signal you broadcast. When you live inauthentic, your signal fractures. But when you live in authenticity, your signal is whole. And the field mirrors that wholeness back to you. So let me ask you, what is your unique frequency? What identity have you been hiding under layers of expectation, fear, and imitation? How long will you keep betraying yourself for approval that never satisfies? Because the moment you reveal it, the moment you declare it, the world adjusts. The field shifts. Opportunities you once chased begin to chase you. People who resonate with your frequency appear. Paths unfold that no plan could have created. Let me tell you a story. In Chicago, a small YouTuber struggled in silence. For months, maybe years, he copied trends, imitated voices, tried to please algorithms. But nothing worked. Views were low, energy drained. Until one day, he stopped pretending. He decided to show up as himself, raw, honest, authentic. He shared his struggles, his truth, his frequency, and everything shifted. His audience grew, not because he played the game, but because he embodied authenticity. Today, he inspires people worldwide, not by being perfect, but by being real. So what about you? How many dreams are waiting behind the mask you refuse to drop? How many opportunities are blocked because the field cannot hear your true frequency? And how long will you silence your authentic self while the clock keeps ticking? There is urgency here, because every moment you hide, you reinforce the mask. Every time you imitate, you weaken your signal. The field responds to what you are, not what you pretend to be. And if you do not choose authenticity, the field will mirror your inauthenticity with confusion, rejection, and stagnation. But the moment you choose your true frequency, the shift is instant. The signal clears. The field hears you. And life responds in ways you could never script. Say it now. I am unique. I am whole. I am true. When you speak it, you anchor authenticity. You tune your frequency. You declare to the field that you will no longer dim your signal. Type the words, I am unique, in the comments. Not as decoration, as declaration. As a living proof that you are ready to drop the mask and live your frequency fully. Because authenticity is not weakness. It is the strongest signal you can send. It is the magnet that attracts the right people, the right opportunities, the right path. So let me ask you again. What would happen if you stopped hiding? What would change if you revealed your true self? What doors would open if you broadcasted your unique frequency without apology? The YouTuber in Chicago proved it. Science confirms it. The field responds to it. And now it is your turn, because the world begins to respond to your unique frequency. And when all the parts we have spoken about come together, identity, coherence, action, embodiment, and presence, your life transforms. And so the question that remains is this: when all of these pieces align, how will your life transform before your very eyes? You do not need to create from nothing. Your future self already exists, and by rewriting your beliefs, reshaping your identity, living in coherence, overcoming fear, and embodying presence, you are stepping into a new reality. Let me ask you, how many lifetimes will you spend waiting for permission to become who you already are? How long will you postpone the truth that is calling you now? Because the door is open. The signal is broadcasting. And the only question that remains is, will you walk through it? Look back at what you have heard. Every step has been preparing you for this moment. You do not need to force reality. You do not need to chase. You only need to align. Beliefs rewritten. Identity reclaimed. Coherence chosen. Fear dissolved. Presence embodied. And in that alignment, the field bends. The future collapses into now. This is not theory. This is not fantasy. This is lived truth. In America, thousands of people have proven it. In healing communities, ordinary people left a single comment, a single declaration, and something shifted. They wrote, I am ready. They wrote, I awaken. And those small acts became commitments. Commitments that rewired their subconscious, aligned their signal, and transformed their lives in ways they never imagined. So what about you? Will you stand as a spectator watching possibilities slip away? Or will you act here and now to anchor your new self into reality? Say it, declare it. Type the words, "I am entangled," in the comments. Not as decoration, as commitment, as a covenant with your future self. When you do, you send a signal to your subconscious. You tell the field, "I have chosen. I have committed. I am no longer waiting." But do not stop there. If this message touched you, if it stirred something deep, then share it. Because when you share, you amplify the signal. You extend the frequency to those still trapped in fear, still drowning in hesitation. By sharing, you become the signal of change. Hit the like button. Save this video so you can return when you forget who you are. Pass it to friends and family, because coherence multiplies when we walk together. This is how movements begin. Not with noise, but with presence. Not with wishes, but with action. And do not forget, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Not for numbers, not for vanity, but because every time you return here, you are reminded. Every time you return, you realign. Every time you return, you strengthen the signal of your new identity. And on this journey of transformation, reminders are everything. So let me ask you one final time. Are you willing to leave this video unchanged? Or will you claim this moment as the beginning of your new reality? Because the universe does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your being, not what you want, who you are. And in this moment, you have the power to be. Thank you for choosing this video among millions. Thank you for giving your attention to the truth that matters most. Leave your feedback in the comments, because your words help this channel grow, evolve, and bring even more value to those searching for light. Now breathe. Feel the presence in your chest. And remember, you do not need to create for nothing. Your future self already exists. And with every coherent step, every authentic signal, every declaration of presence, you are collapsing that future into now. So type it, share it, commit to it, and watch how the field responds.